So friends, Donald Trump now tells us that he's full of bravado. Yeah, he's full of bravado, all right, just not in the way he's trying to spin it. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, when Donald Trump gets caught red-handed, or maybe because he was caught on an audio recording, we should say, when he gets caught red-voiced, holding a classified document in his hand, disclosing and discussing it with others, people who have no security clearance, people who have no right to know about one word of what's in that classified document, Donald Trump's last gasp to try to avoid accountability for his crimes is to say that he was lying about holding a classified document. He calls it bravado. Here is the new reporting about Donald Trump's bravado. This from Semaphore. Headline, "It was bravado." Trump says he wasn't holding up classified documents in 2021 meeting. And that article begins, former President Donald Trump insisted on Tuesday that he was not showing off classified documents in an audio clip first published by CNN in which he referred to highly confidential material and secret information that he could no longer declassify. Quote, this is Trump, "I would say it was bravado, if you want to know the truth. It was bravado," Trump said in an interview aboard his plane with Semaphore and ABC News. Quote, "I was talking and just holding up papers and talking about them, but I had no documents. I didn't have any documents." The latest comments suggested a new potential legal argument from the former president that he was overselling the material he was showing to an aide and people working on a biography of former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows in the recording, a transcript of which was featured heavily in his recent federal indictment. Quote, "I just held up a whole pile of, my desk is loaded up with papers. I have papers from 25 different things," he said, adding he kept relevant news articles about topics like Iran on hand. Now, friends, let's review what Donald Trump was caught saying on the audio tape and see how it compares to his claim that he was just lying. This was just bravado. This from CNN. Trump's statement on the audio recording saying, "These are the papers," and referring to something he calls highly confidential and seems to be showing others in the room. And here is some of what Trump is caught saying on that audio recording. "Look, this was him." He's referring to General Milley there. "They presented me this." This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him, meaning General Milley. "This was done by the military and given to me," Trump continues, before noting that the document remains classified. "See, as president, I could have declassified it," Trump says. "Now I can't, you know, but this is still secret." But Trump now says all of that was a lie. It was just bravado. You know, friends, I've heard the bravado argument made before in court by defendants. Let me tell you how. And I'm going to use as an example a homicide case, a murder case. You know, I tried more than 50 murder cases, so homicide cases are kind of in my wheelhouse. And not infrequently, we would have defendants admitting to their friends, to their associates, to their fellow crew members, gang members, that, yeah, they committed the murder. And they would say something to their associate like, "Oh, and I crept up on that dude from behind, hit him in the back of the head, 2 to the pumpkin. Then I watched him bleed out in the street. And when that evidence was introduced and offered at trial by me, by the prosecutor, you know what the defense attorneys would often argue? That was just bravado from my client. You know, those were just lies, just bravado. Notwithstanding the fact that the jury saw the corroboration, the crime scene photos and the autopsy. Somebody clearly snuck up on the victim and shot him back in the back of the head twice, and he bled out in the street. Sorry to be graphic, but you know, the bravado dog doesn't hunt. It is the last gasp of a guilty person who is caught committing the crime, who is caught confessing to the crime, to say, made it all up. Lies. Bravado. Okay, now let's go back to the semaphore reporting, because Donald Trump also had an explanation for why he was using the word plans, talking about military plans for a potential attack on Iran. Oh, he explained why he was using the word plans. Asked about his use of the word plans during a Fox interview earlier Tuesday to describe some items he may have highlighted in the 2021 meeting, Trump insisted he was referring to building plans and plans for golf courses strewn about his desk. Quote from Trump, "Did I use the word plans?" He said, "Well, what I'm referring to is magazines, newspapers, plans of buildings. I had plans of buildings, you know, building plans. I had plans of a golf course." Yeah, that's the ticket. They were building plans. They were golf course plans that we were discussing in an audio recording where he was talking about military plans to attack Iran that were highly confidential, that remained classified, that were still secret. How desperate does Donald Trump have to be? How doomed does Donald Trump have to feel? How boxed in by the incriminating evidence for Donald Trump to say, no, I swear, I'm just a liar. I didn't have documents. It was bravado. I was lying about all of that. Does Donald Trump often admit that he's a great big liar or that he's wrong? Does he ever apologize? That's how desperate Donald Trump is. That his last gasp at avoiding accountability for his crimes is to try to claim he was lying about everything that incriminated him. So friends, we can pretty neatly put Donald Trump's statements into 3 categories. First, statements in which Donald Trump directly incriminates himself. I took the classified documents when I left the presidency. That's directly incriminating. And he has said any number of versions of that. Those statements will be used against him at trial. Category number 2, inconsistent statements. Statements in which Donald Trump contradicts Donald Trump. For example, we've heard Donald Trump say over and over again that when he takes documents with him, when he leaves the presidency, they are automatically declassified by his very act of taking them. That declassifies them. And yet Donald Trump contradicts that, doesn't he? Because on the audio tape, when he's holding up what he claims is a classified document regarding military plans to attack Iran, he says, "This is still classified. I could have declassified it when I was president, but now I can't, and this is still secret." That will be devastating evidence against him at trial if the prosecutors choose to introduce it. And then the third category are statements that demonstrate a consciousness of guilt. What do I mean by that? Well, when you know you're caught red-handed or red-voiced on an audio recording, holding up and referring to and talking about military plans, classified military plans, you're talking about them to others who have absolutely no security clearance and no right to know anything about them, and then you go out and you tell a lie, a childish lie, a transparent lie, a laughable lie. Like, oh, plans, yeah, I was talking about plans for buildings and golf courses. You know, that demonstrates your consciousness of guilt. In other words, you know you committed a crime. You know you're caught red-handed, so you have to tell a laughable lie to try to cover up your crime. That demonstrates your consciousness of guilt, and that is an attempted cover-up. Not a very convincing one, but an attempted cover-up. Given Donald Trump's statements, Jack Smith and his prosecutors will crush Donald Trump at trial. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.